Coming up on the Pacer Pulse podcast, the Indiana Pacers beat the Chicago Bulls as Siakam dominates in the fourth quarter. Johnny Furphy comes up with a clutch defensive play on Kobe White that led to a Neesmith block. And then last of all, Johnny Furphy hits two free throws to put us up three to win the game. What is up, Pacer Nation? Welcome to the Pacer Pulse podcast, the heartbeat of Indiana basketball. And the Indiana Pacers beat the Chicago Bulls 113 to 110. Yes, we have the Bulls number this year, guys. We've won 3 of our 12 games against the Bulls, so they got to feel pretty bad about themselves after tonight, as they couldn't even beat us, a bottom feeder in the NBA, according to our record. But now we have surpassed the Wizards, as they're now the worst team in the Eastern Conference. So, a lot to unpack here, guys, but really just an all-around weird game where most of the game we were getting beat. They were pretty much handily beating us for, I would say, almost the entire game. They outscore us in the first quarter, 33 to 24. We come back and outscore them 25 to 20 in the second. Then they outscore us 32 to 27 in the third, but then we erupt for 37 points in the fourth quarter as they only scored 25 to help steal this win. And just, man, like really bad shooting the entire game, guys. Like, there's a lot to dive into, but like I said, the style of play in this game was just really rough. There wasn't a whole lot that you could really take away from it early on in this game. The offense wasn't moving at all. It was very stagnant. We could not score anything inside. It was pretty unreal. Like, we only had I think we shot 2 of 14 from the field at some point at the end of the first quarter, guys. Like, whenever you only hit 2 shots inside the arc, that's pretty bad. So, started off really ugly. It wasn't really until the fourth quarter that we even picked things up and really sealed this win, but we hung around. Somehow we hung around the entire game, and that really helped determine the win. But really, the first takeaway is what decided this game was, I would have to say, Furphy and Siakam. Like, Siakam just going off in the fourth quarter. He had a pretty rough shooting night overall, and I'm going to say Jalen Smith kind of defended him well a lot of times in this game, which is surprising, but Siakam just put the team on his back in the fourth quarter. He ended up having like 14 points or so. I don't know the exact number, but he scored over double-digit points in the fourth to really help carry the scoring load. And then, like I said in the beginning, Furphy came up clutch when it mattered most. And I thought it was kind of surprising that Johnny Furphy was playing in crunch time minutes over like Ben Mathurin, let's say. I was very surprised to see that. I mean, I know Furphy had been in the starting lineup and Rick really trusts him, even though he's a young player, which you would say normally isn't Rick's MO, right? I mean, if you look at history-wise, he doesn't usually do those things. So I guess it means a lot that he trusts Furphy in those moments. But Furphy had a strong defensive play on Kobe White at the end of this game, guys, where he stayed in front of him, stayed on his hip, didn't allow Kobe to kind of get exactly where he wants, but then it allowed Neesmith to be able to fly in and get the block on Kobe White, too. Neesmith wouldn't have been in that opportunity if it wasn't for Furphy defending on that play. It was just a beautiful sequence by the team in general, but I wanted to highlight Furphy because he has shown a lot of promise in terms of just his defensive ability. He has so much more room to grow. And then the fact that he gets fouled, right? And what game was it? I think it was against Miami where he shot like 2 of 9 from the free throw line. So he doesn't really shoot a lot of free throws, right? I don't even know how many he shot the last couple games, but I was thinking back to that game, and Furphy got fouled, and he steps up to the free throw line with like about 10 seconds or less in this game to help put us up 3. So we were up like 101 to 100. Johnny Furphy goes to the free throw line, buries both free throws, guys. Buries them both. The Bulls, they tried throwing a pass inbounds, but like literally it was a terrible pass and went right to Nembhard, and that sealed the win. So I wanted to give Furphy his flowers because without him, we would have not have won this game, guys. And like I said, even Siakam too. But all in all, that's what really like put us over the top was those performances from those guys, especially when it mattered most. And then even Nembhard had a clutch mid-range shot there to kind of give us a solid lead towards the end there. Neesmith had a few plays where he finished inside, hit a couple threes in the fourth quarter. But really, just the team stepped up when it mattered most. It seemed like that classic Pacers comeback victory that we were used to seeing last year. And I think that's kind of my number one takeaway. And then My other takeaways, well, I would have, like, I usually spotlight a player, but I already kind of did because that is seriously what won us the game. So those two takeaways kind of go hand in hand where I got to highlight Furphy. I got to. He came up big. He didn't score a lot in this game at all, but whenever it mattered, he showed up when it mattered most, guys. And I think that's what you really want to see from a young player is the fact that he has that ability. He's not afraid of the moment. And that's what you really want to see. He's like 21 years old. Most guys would probably be pretty scared in those moments or like a little bit in their heads, but he kept his cool and he did what he had to do to help this team win. And I'll continue to sing Furphy's praises. I'm a pretty big fan of Furphy. I really believe in his potential. Obviously, I know he's not going to be like an all-star or something. I know that. But I really believe in what he can provide for this team. And I think it could be a lot. And I think it allows us a lot of flexibility when it comes to our roster construction here. But I want to highlight him. Siakam, of course, like I said, had a rough shooting night, but he really came on in the fourth quarter and really helped put the team on his back. Smith continues his strong shooting as of late. He shot 5 of 9 from the field, 3 of 5 from 3. So I wanted to highlight that as he's kind of bouncing back from those rough shooting stretches he had. Nimhard, he had a pretty solid all-around game. He shot bad, did not shoot well from the field. He was 6 of 14, 2 of 7 from 3. But he finished with a plus 10 still. But he had 18, 6, and 9, just a solid all-around game. Like I said, Furphy, 7 rebounds. Mathurin had 15 and 8 off the bench that I thought was pretty impactful, especially for his second game back after his injuries. I thought he looked pretty great for the most part. Jay Huff, nice solid game. 10.7 rebounds off the bench, 3 steals, a block. He had a clutch 3 in the fourth, too. That really helped. He tied the game at one point. So, really great play from those guys. But those are the ones I really wanted to highlight in this game that really helped put us over the top. But like I said, it wouldn't have happened without Furphy. It wouldn't have happened without Siakam doing what he did. Pretty much the whole team effort, though, in the fourth quarter. That really helped set this win. And just, I thought it was funny, too. This other point I wanted to get to. We went small ball again this game. And I thought that was interesting because you could understand why we did the last couple games or so, where we were trying to match up with the Hawks a little bit. Onyeka Okongwu is a shorter center, but he is bigger. But you could see the case where, all right, the small ball makes a little sense against that team. And then we did it against Miami. We did it against the Thunder, of course, and it worked out that game. So you can see why Rick was kind of going with that lineup. But I also think it speaks loudly of the centers we have on this team. So that's a whole different story. But I think the fact that he's willing to go small and thinks that's the best choice is pretty telling about the center rotation right now. But then what really I think helped set the tone, especially for the second half, because it was not pretty in the first half. Like I said, we just were playing rough. We did outscore them in the second, but it was just an all-around rough offensive stretch. And even defensively, Vucevic and Jalen Smith were having their way. Buzelis was too at one point. They were really putting it on us. And then even Ayo Dosunmu was just getting past everybody at one point. It was a pretty rough defensive game for a while too. But we stepped up when it mattered most with the defense, well, especially in the fourth. But I thought it was pretty telling that coming out at halftime, Rick, he decided to start Ben Mathurin and Jay Huff with Nesmith, Nimhard, and Siakam. So probably what you would expect the starting lineup to be. I know Mathurin's probably just kind of easing his way back in because he is coming back from an injury, but I thought that was pretty telling, and I did think it helped set the tone, at least in terms of helping turn this game around a little bit. Because we did get outscored in the third quarter still, 32-27, but it wasn't as bad as it was, and it was trending in the right direction. You could tell we were building momentum. Mathurin, he came in and hit 3 threes in the third quarter, desperate threes that we desperately needed to even keep this game close. And the fact that he led the team in rebounding tonight too said a lot. So without his rebounding, would have been a pretty rough game in that regard because the Bulls were getting just about every rebound at one point too. And then, like I said, I just thought that was telling. I think that adjustment really helped win this game just because it helped keep us afloat, right? I think that if we would have went small going into the third quarter, we would have had a rough time containing Vucevic, who's a pretty big center. And if you guys haven't checked it out, I was on Setting the Pace with Alex Golden. We did the Center of Attention episode on the Chicago Bulls. I was lucky enough to be able to get on there and talk about the Bulls centers with him. So if you haven't heard that, go check it out. It was a great episode too. I really appreciate Alex for letting me on there. But we talked about the Bulls, and I gave the Bulls like a C minus grade for their center rotation. And I did bring up the idea of like, what if Boots would be like a decent stopgap center if we couldn't find that center of the future just yet, sign him to a cheap deal. And then we talked about Jalen Smith, reminisced on him. I told him how Jalen Smith's been phenomenal this year for the Bulls. He's been such a positive impact for them. So it's just good to see that he's been having a good impact in the league still, even though I almost wish we had him over Isaiah Jackson, of course, absolutely as of now, because Jackson's basically out of the rotation. But oh no, besides all that, I just thought we tried like exploiting that mismatch, I think, with Siakam starting and against Vucevic and all that. It just didn't work. But I did like the adjustment Rick made where he decided to go play big. He played Huff a lot more minutes. Micah Potter had some decent play in this game too, where he hit a couple threes and just kind of provided you something at least. Isaiah Jackson, it's looking bad, guys, for Isaiah Jackson. That contract looks pretty rough right now because, I mean, he's basically the third string center right now. And it makes me worry, too, about even being able to use him for any sort of trade at all, because that's basically a negative asset a team's going to be getting back. Unless they believe they can get more out of Isaiah Jackson, it's just not looked good. He hasn't looked the same since the Achilles injury, of course, so maybe it takes him more time to get back. So, I don't know. I don't want that to be a cautionary tale about how we should view Halliburton coming back next year, too. But he also has a lot more time. So I really think that takeaway too. I think that really helped change the momentum in the game too. Help us kind of combat what the Bulls were doing because they were tearing us up inside for a while. Like I said, I think even at one point in this game, we only had 12 points in the paint at halftime. So we were literally just living or dying by the three or like mid-range shots. It was pretty bad, guys. Like the inside scoring was rough. So, like I said, we kind of ended up even out the stats a lot in this game, like the rebounding. The Bulls, they only out rebounded us by 4. And then I think one of the most key stats in this game that I haven't even touched on yet was the turnovers, guys. We only had 6 turnovers in this entire game. That is like incredible, just incredible ability of taking care of the basketball. So I think that just not giving the Bulls too many opportunities to score off points off turnovers. They only had 8, or they had 4 points off turnovers in this game, guys. We had 8. So I just think that taking care of the ball, it really helped us win this game, especially when there were a lot of moments when we were getting out rebounded. The Bulls, they had 9 offensive rebounds or 6, so they were getting like more possessions even. Just like us taking care of the ball, not giving up even more possessions to the Bulls, I think really helped seal this win too, and at least help keep it close. And then we still got beat in points in the paint, 52-40. So we went from 12 points in the paint to 40 at the end of this game. So definitely an improvement that I think obviously helped. And then we ended up shooting better from the field at least a little bit because, like I said, we were 2 of 14 from the field at one point in the first quarter. So I think just some of those are the key stats that I think really help separate us and being able to help us come back in the fourth and really actually build some momentum. And the guys just started hitting shots too. I mean, sometimes that's all it comes down to as well. It was just a miraculous comeback in the second half, or in the fourth quarter, I mean. And just, that's all you can really say. But what does this win mean going forward? Nothing. Like I'm pretty much going to always say that about any win or loss. I just think that so far this season, it's just about development and what we can see from these guys. So I don't think, oh, is this win going to propel us to a playoff seed? No. Do I think that any loss is going to hurt us? No, I actually think it's going to help us. And I don't mean to say that in such like it's weird to say that losses will help us, but you guys know what I mean because we want a highest chance at a high draft pick as possible. So eventually, I think we're going to start resting guys. I think after the All-Star break especially, but that's why like I don't think there's any sort of takeaways like what it's going to impact our team moving forward. I do think Rick going small again, it just paints such a big picture of how bad the center rotation is for us right now. And I do like Jay Huff, and Micah Potter's good in some spot minutes, but like he's not reliable every game, just like Jay Huff isn't really either. But you prefer Jay Huff as like a backup, of course. So I think it just solidifies the fact that we do need a starting center still. We at least need somebody that's at least better than those guys, that has a higher upside, even if it's a younger like center. So I think that's been one telling issue. Rotation wise, if you guys didn't watch this game, Ben Shepherd was pretty much out of the rotation tonight. He played like 6 minutes. So it's not looking good for Shepherd. I already kind of said this earlier on in the season that I expect Furphy to kind of pass Shepherd. And I expected Furphy to pass Walker too, but I don't know if we're trying like, Walker's been playing a lot better the past month, so he earned more minutes for sure. But tonight, he had a good scoring night, but other than that, guys, literally goose eggs across the entire, stat sheet. He didn't have any rebounds, assists, steals, blocks. Not that really overall impactful game that you have seen from him lately. He all he did is scoring, and he actually shot well in this game. I'll give him that, but his plus minus was not good in this game. He might have had, let me check just to make sure, but he might have had like probably the worst plus minus in. So he was a negative 14. Yeah, so that was the worst plus minus in the game. Even though he was 6 of 8 from the field, 2 of 3 from three. But like I said, he didn't impact the game in any other way. So I think that really affected his minutes this game. He only played 22. And I think there's a reason why Rick went with Furphy over him as well in the closing lineups in this game. So, and it was the right choice, of course, because Furphy pretty much helped win us the game. So I thought that was pretty or just pretty telling in general, guys. That I don't know. I think that we're gonna start to see that Walker. Maybe we're playing him because he has been playing well, but maybe it's because of trade implications too. I don't know. There was a report about Ben Matherin today that I'm going to do an episode on tomorrow, so stay tuned for that. But like, that's all I really can take away from this game, guys. It's like we have the Bulls number. Doesn't mean we're going to make the playoffs. It doesn't mean that. I mean, I do think it means certain rotation things will change, just kind of like how it always has this season. I mean, I think we've used the most different lineups in the NBA this entire season, so that's not surprising to anybody that has watched this team this year. So I don't have much takeaways from that, but the next game, I want to preview the next game. We play the Atlanta Hawks on Saturday, so didn't look great at all the last time we played the Hawks this past weekend. So let's hope we can bounce back in that game. But another key matchup I would look at in that game is I want to see how Jalen Johnson bounces back against his poor performance against us in that game. So I know I said this for that game too, but I'm interested to see the Siakam and Jalen Johnson matchup. I'm interested to see if we go with the small ball lineup again, or if we go with Jay Huff back in the starting lineup and we try to mix it up again. If we decide to start Matherin again over Walker, considering he kind of had a poor performance tonight, will Rick kind of have a shorter leash with Walker and kind of move him back to the bench? Those are kind of things I'm keeping an eye on for the next game. And if Shepard's going to get any rotation minutes, hardly. I think he had like 6 tonight. So I'm trying to see if that's going to be a trend that goes forward. But just let me know what you guys thought about this game, guys, in the comments. What did you think about Johnny Furphy's clutch performance there at the end of this game? What do you think about his overall development this season? What do you think about Siakam coming up big and then Nembhard and Neesmith? Just what did you feel throughout this game? What was your thoughts and opinions? We'd love to hear that. What do you think? Should Walker continue to start? Or should we go with Ben Matherin back in the lineup? I know, like, with the trade deadline coming up soon, we don't know what's going to happen. So we're going to have to keep an eye on that, of course. But just let me know what you guys think. But I do want to tease my next episode. Like I kind of mentioned earlier, I want to talk about this new report that came out talking about Ben Matherin. So I'm going to dive into that. Just came out like not too long ago, probably like 4 hours ago. Kind of got lost in the shuffle. And I if you guys haven't heard yet, I guess Giannis Antetokounmpo has finally kind of requested a trade, even though all that was really said is he's ready, or what is it? He's ready for the opportunity to move homes, something like that. Something where he tried beating around the bush about asking for a trade. It was kind of lame, to be honest, but like essentially it's finally happened. He's going to ask for a trade. So I think we're going to finally see if that domino falls, the rest of this trade market I think is going to open up a little bit more. I think that's the piece that is really missing, that teams were just holding out on to see what was going to happen. So be on the lookout for that, guys, and watch out for our team, because from what I've seen so far, I guess Matherin has been in trade talks with multiple different teams. So I'll touch on that article tomorrow, so be on the lookout for that. And just, I'm going to give my opinion, guys, if it's the right move to trade Matherin, what teams I could speculate on, which teams are actually looking at getting him. So be on the lookout for that. But just, all in all, great win tonight, guys. I was really proud of the team. I know, like, I'm not trying to, like, pursue too many wins, but it's nice to win one every once in a while. And at least we're 3-0 against the Bulls this season, right? So we're still in the thick of things. Like I said, we've only won 12 games, so we're tied with, like, the Pelicans at 12, the Kings at 12. The Wizards have 11 now, so they have the worst record in the NBA. But we've caught the Brooklyn Nets now too, guys. They have 12 wins, so we got to be careful at this point in the season. We got to be real careful and not winning too many games at some point. I think the team knows that. But if you guys could please just always leave a like, comment, subscribe on YouTube. And if you could follow the listening platforms on Apple Podcasts and Spotify too, I always appreciate that. Please give 5-star reviews on there. It means a lot to me. It helps it grow. And I want to build this channel up to be something amazing in the Pacers community. Help it be one of the best podcasts out there, one of the best YouTube podcast channels for the Pacers out there. Those are some of my main goals that I really want to bring to this channel and bring just an awesome community where we can all talk about the Pacers and kind of give our opinions, what we think this team should do, and just share our love for the team, guys. So I really appreciate you guys listening, Pacer Nation, and I will talk to you soon.